Although everything looks so near and so convenient, be careful of your choices. Each will nourish you and fill you up to some extent, but some things are more nourishing or beneficial than others. Some things are downright bad for your health and should be avoided like the plague. Hi everyone, this is Julianne Victoria. Welcome to my channel. This is the new moon and solar eclipse reading from the Western astrology or tropical zodiac perspective that occurs on June 10th, 2021 at 3:53 a.m. here on the Pacific coast of the US. So it will be on the 10th for most people out there. It's an annular solar eclipse, so if it's daytime where you live and you're able to see it, you should be able to see a ring around the sun, of course, with your special solar eclipse glasses. Just check your local news or website to see if you'll be able to see it in your area. So what you heard me read in the intro came from the book 360 Degrees of Wisdom by Linda Hill. For the past year and a half, I've been reading from this book at the end of the astrology, but I thought I'd just introduce the energy of this new moon solar eclipse with that. The title of the Sabian symbol, if you're curious, is a cafeteria with an abundance of choice. And it is really about choosing or changing things through our choices with this new moon solar eclipse. So we have the new moon down here in the sign of Gemini. New moons are conjoined the sun, of course, as I'm sure you know. And of course, it's conjoined the north node here. It's on the nodal axis. That's why eclipses are occurring. Why the eclipse is occurring. And we have Mercury here within 1 degree of the new moon and solar eclipse going retrograde. And I did do a Mercury retrograde video. I'll link that on screen and below so you can check that out because Mercury is entering Cazimi with the solar eclipse, which is a very powerful energy. And I feel with this eclipse, and I felt this strongly with the Vedic too, this is really about the Mercury retrograde going Cazimi into the eclipse, is that our minds, Mercury represents our intellectual mind, our minds are getting a break from the ideas, the beliefs, the thoughts, the patterns even, the analyzing that we have done in our lives that now hopefully are triggered to change. For us to take a break from blinding ourselves and creating illusion with our persistent opinions or beliefs, etc., so that we can see the choices that we have that are presented to us. Now, the new moon is in the second house, which is a very material house. It's money, gains, and finances, our possessions. I call it the house of stuff. It's interesting, though, because the node is in the first house. So there's this actually slight separation between first house of self and our possessions. Second house is also a house of self-worth. And what I'm feeling with this eclipse, with the intellectual mind diving into this, as we get that separation, we also get a feeling of how our choices can either be controlled or how do I phrase this? How our opinions, how our beliefs, our limiting beliefs, our stubborn opinions, our even, I want to say, lack of, for some, lack of using our intellect and studying and researching and analyzing things clearly without those blinders of those beliefs and opinions. With all this intense energy, we're going to be able, again, it's our choice, with the energy of this eclipse, to separate those out. To separate, oh, okay, this is what's going on. And I was so bent on that being my opinion, that being what it is, that I didn't see that it is something else, or maybe something slightly different. Trying to think of a better way to get this across. But it's like we're getting this pause, this break from our own minds in multiple ways to give us that separation to get that perspective. So new moons, of course, are dark moons. And of course, the sun is darkening out with this eclipse, except for a little ring. And I love those dark spaces because in those, they're empty. It's like the Fool in the tarot. It's empty space. And when the space is empty, there is nothing for us to formulate a limiting opinion or belief on. And so we're getting this space so that we can separate that out and realize there is more to things. And, you know, what house this lays in your natal chart will give you more specifics of what area of life. But there's more to it than that opinion or belief we were holding on so tightly to, or that we just couldn't see beyond because we didn't realize we were holding it and blocking ourselves. I hope that makes sense. Now, of course, opposite, we have K2. We also have Juno here opposite this new moon solar eclipse. Juno then conjoined South Node. I think I called him K2. That's the Vedic term. Juno conjoined South Node. Now, Juno is here in the 8th house. 8th house of death, change, and transformation. So transformation is triggered in many ways. It's a house of research. And it's also a house of esoteric and the occult, our inner spirituality, our shadows. Now, Juno here to me, first and foremost, represents loyalty. She's opposite this eclipse. With the perspective we gain, and again, choice is a big thing here, and we choose to embrace that space and acknowledge, oh, I might be limiting myself with that thought, with that opinion, or whatever it might be. We will start to see, and this, because it's 8th house, can bring up a lot of shadows and then trigger us into shadow work in a hopefully healthy and productive and transformative way, that we have been loyal to things, possibly secretly, so we may not have realized this, and this may be what's coming to light. We may have been loyal to things of the past, to old patterns, and K2 is in the 7th house of relationship, so it could be to a person, but again, how this lays on your natal chart will determine that. And we may realize, you know, our loyalties have not been true. We've eluded ourselves with our loyalty. And you could see like loyalty to someone or something that is unhealthy can be a belief, an opinion that we've held tightly to, even though if we step out of it and get that perspective, we realize, oh, that's not good for me. So, kind of a common phrase you might hear with something like this is that we release things that don't serve us anymore. But it's not so easy. It's shadows. It's our sense of loyalty, our sense of who we are, North Node here in the 1st house, and 2nd house, what we truly value in life beyond the material. So it can be quite an intense energy, and this doesn't mean we feel all of it on the 10th at the time of the solar eclipse. This energy can play out 6 months to a year, for some people longer, depending on, again, how this is laying on your natal chart and affecting your planets and houses, etc. If we look at the angles, there's a square here to Vesta, goddess of the hearth and home, in the 5th house of creativity. So there may be some, I actually want to say ancestral stuff going on here, familial things for some. Of course, the opposition is the strongest, right? We have a trine up here to Saturn. Happy is his traditional sign of Aquarius. Uranus is the modern ruler. Our sense of, I want to say why we are here, questioning our why we are here wherever you are at this moment in your life, physically and emotionally and spiritually. And that, because it's in the sign of Aquarius, can trigger great change. Saturn also triggers transformation. And then we have a square here to Neptune in Pisces. Neptune in his own sign of Pisces. Again, that can represent illusion. as well as for some, where are your boundaries? Do you value yourself enough to have those boundaries? And have you been loyal to something and realized that you have maybe stepped on top of your own boundaries for that loyalty? And with the energy of this eclipse, you realize, oh, that's not healthy for me. This can be so many layers here. And then of course we have Athena here conjoined Neptune in Pisces. So wisdom comes from acknowledging any illusions we've created for ourselves, understanding if you're someone who needs to work on your boundaries, whether they've been too harsh or non-existent. Yeah, great wisdom can arise from the depths of the psyche from this. So this can be quite intense energy. Okay, I think I'm good there. Okay, it's an intense new moon solar eclipse. Again, not everyone's going to feel this energy on the day or over the next 6 months to a year. But again, for those who, these signs are significant for you, it's angling some important planets and placements in your chart. This could be quite a life-changing cycle the next 6 months to a year. I feel like it's more 6 months. So we'll see how the rest of 2020 plays, or 2021 plays out. All right, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. And I'll see you back here soon.